Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dilal. We're talking about the impact of COVID-19 this time. So let's look at how it affects our money and our finances. So on 23rd, there was a huge panic when Franklin Templeton India decided to shutter 6 of its schemes. And people just went into a panic because they were wondering whether the mutual fund industry is going to go the way of PMC Bank and Yes Bank. Yes and no. There is going to be an impact on the mutual fund industry. Franklin Templeton's debt funds, which have been shuttered, were a one-off issue. But remember, there was reason for people to get worried because Franklin Templeton India alone has 27,000 crore under its belt of investors' money. And the industry today is huge. So, in fact, look at the size of the industry. 22 trillion is the amount of assets that the mutual fund industry controls. And remember that the Securities and Exchange Board of India, as the regulator, have allowed the industry as a whole to advertise that mutual funds sahi hai, which means don't worry, as long as you put your money in mutual funds, it's safe. This is an utterly false and devious slogan which we at Money Life have been objecting to from the beginning, because there's nothing like an industry being safe. Returns vary widely between schemes, even of a particular fund house, and there is nothing like mutual fund sahi hai. And the fact that sahi nahi hai, Franklin Templeton India was the first to show it. Now, people panicked. The industry, because it's so huge, as you know, corporate defaults, the big defaulters who have borrowed huge amounts of money have got away for years or decades together by calling the shots and defaulting. So this industry, because it's powerful, because it's aggregating the money of people like you and me, retail investors, it is calling the shots and it wants to be bailed out. It wants a line of credit because it says people are panicking. Why are people panicking? Yes, because of the coronavirus. But let's remember that this is a virus that's created a global problem, which also is a big advantage to a whole bunch of people because they're going to all wash their sins away in the name of corona and demand all kinds of bailouts from the government. So the mutual fund industry has been on television non-stop. Every head of every large mutual fund is there lobbying hard, and they've been the first and the fastest to in fact get their way. Here's what they've done. Now, we know very well that the country is in chaos, the government hasn't functioned, regulators are clueless, the economy is in a tailspin. We're going to feel a lot of pain, right? But the mutual fund industry is the first to have got some benefit. So from the 27th of April to 11th of May, the Reserve Bank of India has opened a 50,000 crore special liquidity facility for mutual funds by way of a 90-day repo. It is being done through banks. Basically, it's funding mutual funds in order to meet redemption requirements. Is this going to be enough? Well, experts like Fitch and others say it is not. But the industry has got its way in the beginning. Doesn't matter that lots of people don't even have food to eat, but these people have got their way. Now, is Franklin Templeton's issue only about the coronavirus and a lockdown? Not at all. I mean, look at the way global markets are moving. There is not such a big impact on markets. They crashed, they went down for a while, but markets are okay. It's not to do with corona alone. It is to do with how they manage things. Let's look at how mutual funds behave. Now, for the last 30 years that people like me have been tracking mutual funds, in fact, when the industry started, which was largely mutual funds promoted by public sector banks, from then they have been colluding with all kinds of people, advisors, stockbrokers, and buying dubious stock, creating problems. So problems of mutual funds are not new. Even during the global financial crisis of 2008, they asked for a bailout and the government was happy to give it to them. The problem is not about the bailout, not about temporary liquidity that they may need. We are not saying create a systemic issue and create a problem, but we are saying that the bad eggs were responsible, or rather who are doing irresponsible lending when they should not even be lending, they should be investing. These people get away with shady practices every time, because when they demand a bailout, asset management companies earn their revenue based on the size of funds that are under their management. It's a percentage. Doesn't matter the performance, you put your money in, they earn a fee. And doesn't matter what they do, they are giving themselves fat salaries, bonuses, and the AMC business is extremely profitable. When things go bad, it is the investor who pays the price and the AMC gets away. Yes, SEBI has occasionally given them a tiny slap on the wrist, but it is not enough even in the face of scandalous actions. Let me explain a little bit more about how history repeats itself. So let's start with 25th April. The Mint wrote an article by Neil Barote about how BOI AXA, so we're now going on from Franklin Templeton to BOI AXA, just to tell you that it's not about one fund, it is not about Corona alone, but it's about how they behave. So BOI AXA Credit Risk Fund had suffered a vertical drop in its net asset value to the point that its returns since the launch were down to minus 17.86. Will you believe that? Forget about getting returns. Since inception, if you had stayed with it, you would be down minus 17.86%. Its disastrous investments included IL&FS, DHFL, Syntex, and others. This fund is unique because it has KKR India as an investment advisor. Did KKR advise them to make these decisions, disastrous ones? Industry says yes. KKR says no. In fact, when I emailed them, they sent me a response saying that their advisory services are limited in the form of recommendations with respect to certain structured credit assets, and it was not involved in investing decisions, portfolio construction and management, or asset valuation or liquidity management. That means when there's a problem, it's yours. When it comes to earning a fee, we get a fee for advice. What happens to the advice? Why did they need it if they were not involved in anything? I don't know. But remember, BOI AXA this is not the first time it's in trouble. Let's go back 30 years. It's important because that's when scandalous things were happening, and scandalous things are happening again. What we have in between is a big fat regulator who's supposed to have cleaned all this up, large bureaucracy, and tell me after you hear this whether things sound the same or not. Devashish Basu, the editor of Money Life, wrote a book called Face Value, which has an entire chapter on how mutual funds behaved in the 90s, which all their happy days ending with the big security scam and the crash that followed. Those were the days when we talked about cowboy banking. And these same banks promoted mutual funds, which were investing in the market. They used to promise assured returns. And the assurance of the returns was a number which was usually bigger than the term deposits of banks. It was a model followed by UTI, which also crash landed and had to be bailed out by the government. So all mutual funds promoted by banks were looking at becoming another unit trust of India by guaranteeing and assuring returns. Every one of them, everyone who had an asset management company, and Bank of India naturally was one of them. So Devashish points out that Bank of India's BOI Double Square Plus had the biggest shortfall among guaranteed return funds of over 800 crore. It had offered to pay unequivocally 4 times plus the face value of each Bonanza unit that was held for 10 years. This was a word coined for each of those units. If that wasn't bad enough, it started out initially by saying there was a 55 crore shortfall. Then there was a Central Vigilance Commission inquiry, and it turns out that there was a 300 crore scam happening out there. So many years later, all this is going to be washed away in the name of the COVID virus. Blame it on the virus. Don't look at yourself. Franklin's problems, like I said earlier, are also not necessarily due to the COVID, but because of some reckless bets that its high-profile fund manager may have taken. Big part of the problem, as people have analyzed, was exposure to the debt of private unlisted companies of promoters without a clear exit. And some of you who have followed the market know that these mutual funds, instead of investing, turned into lenders, and they lent against promoter quota shares, promoter holdings, not promoters quota shares, promoter holding. So the promoters of Z, the promoters of Yes Bank, Yes Bank crash landed, Rana Kapoor's private companies, and the same kind of mutual funds had this dubious lending happening. SEBI hasn't done almost anything. You're paying the price. Now, this fund, Franklin, even had an exposure to Vadavan Global Capital and bought bonds. In fact, they bought bonds belonging to the promoters company, issued by the promoters company. How and why were these risks being taken? What, if any, was there a quid pro quo? Is there going to be an investigation? In fact, B&K Securities has done an analysis which says that Franklin was the sole lender to 26 out of 88 entities in its debt schemes. That means all the bond issued by some of these people who are private entities, holding companies, no exit, unlisted, were entirely bought by Franklin because of some weird confidence. We don't pay investment fees to these people to take reckless bets on our behalf. They're supposed to make considered decisions. And don't again blame it on rating agencies, because we know that is discredited. How is it that they alone lent to some companies and others didn't take that decision? It definitely is something that needs an investigation and cannot be buried in the name of a virus. So history repeats itself every few years. Starting with the ILFS failure in 2018, there have been a series of little issues that have been cropping up. We've had the Z Group. As I said, we've done several video blogs on this. You can go back and look at it. Anil Ambani and his entire group and their problems. Diwan Housing, you know that they're back in jail. Yes Bank crash landed, Rana Kapoor sitting in jail. All these were hot investments for mutual funds who are supposed to be experts, the Sahi Hai Walas who are investing your and my money without any of their own skin in the game. They have only profits coming to them. Now, like I said, SEBI has done nothing much. The mutual fund industry is so huge that it calls the shots. Here's an interesting thing that Ajit Dayal, who used to manage the quantum funds, some of the best managed and cleanest funds, has to say. He says the mutual fund industry has become a veteran at seeking bailouts. Not the first time, it is not even the second time. So it's not like there was a global crisis in 2008 and there is a big global crisis in 2020 because of the virus. They have been doing it repeatedly. They have become veterans at seeking bailouts. First they create the mess, then they get into trouble. They put the entire financial system into jeopardy, and then they stand in the breadline for a bailout. Why? Because you can't have financial instability. So even today, even we are not even saying that you can't give them a bailout, because a lot of innocent people who put in their hard-earned, tax-paid money into these investments are going to get shaken up if you allow them to have problems. But can they, as asset management companies, individuals, fund managers who did not do their job the way they had to, get away with it? Well, in 2008 they did. In fact, apparently, Mr. Dayal says the SEBI chairman wanted to be firm, but the then finance minister, who's again, tweeting and hawking for a bailout for mutual funds, he said give them the money, no strings attached, no question of looking at what they did. Money Life wrote a lot even those days. The industry got away scot-free. And in fact, it's grown probably to 4 or 5 times the size. The whole thing about a slogan pretending that they're fine happened after that. In fact, bank term deposit rates went down. You had banks getting into trouble. So people actually believed it was safer to get a return that beat inflation by going to mutual funds. And you get hit once again, or the industry gets bailed out. I mean, this is a country with so many poor people who have lost their livelihoods. The country is going to face financial issues of hunger, but who's the first in the queue because of their big financial clout to ask and demand a bailout and be there on television all the time with a drumbeat saying that you have to save the system? It is the mutual fund industry. And not one word to say investigate some of these dubious decisions, keep them aside. Well, actually, People like Ajit Dayal are asking this. There are others. Money Life has been saying it, and there is a precedent. So when ICICI Bank finally, after a long time, realized that their CEO and MD Chanda Kochhar is not what she ought to be, they had no qualms about going after her and wanting to claw back bonuses and ESOPs and whatever else that they had paid her. Why can't this formula be adopted by SEBI when it comes to the AMC industry? Why do they get away? So if they made wrong decisions, claw back their bonuses. In fact, as Ajit Dayal says, a couple of AMC licenses should go. If you're going to have a bailout, there should be strings attached. There is another interesting proposal by Professor J.R. Varma. He's from IIM Ahmedabad. He used to be a member of the Securities and Exchange Board of India. It's got a very interesting and detailed blog. But one of the things that he suggests is like a bail-in proposal. So when Yes Bank collapsed, they realized that you cannot dump the problem on public sector banks. You can't ask SBI to take it up, even though a lot of international commentators and brokerage firms wanted that solution. So when it was very clear that the government wasn't going to budge and say SBI should, bail out Yes Bank, private banks came together and put in some equity. So he's suggesting something similar but dissimilar. So what he suggests is create a special purpose vehicle, route the bailout money through it, find a way to put only the better, more liquid instruments over there. And the difference is that he wants this SPV, a special purpose vehicle, created by money that belongs to investors. Now, if it is institutional investors who ought to be sophisticated, there's no issue. If you're going to use retail investors' money, then this becomes a little like the dreaded FDRI bill, which was planning to convert retail deposits into equity and bail out banks. You remember, it was very controversial, had to be pulled out. It was introduced in 2018 or 17 and withdrawn in 18, just before the IL&FS crisis. So if it's investors' money, but it's a good idea, at least it brings people who caused the problem to be there. Should they be investors? I don't think so. I think it should be AMCs. This is, you have to disgorge money and put it into that SPV to fund it. Maybe some institutional investors' money, but I don't think you should touch retail investors, because remember, it is the regulator who allowed them to get away with mutual fund sahi hai. The point is that you have two kinds of precedents. You have Yes Bank, you have Chanda Kochhar. Now let's get cracking and say the virus will not wash away your sins. If you made bad decisions, bad lending, you will have to pay a price. If there's going to be a bailout to protect the financial system, let's not protect the bad guys. Let's all demand it. Thank you.